Hello, I am Movie Man, the one that brings the big screen to your screen. Today I am here to give my review of Inception. Hello everyone, and I know what you're thinking. Movie Man's back? Well, it's true. It's been a couple of years now since I appeared on screen, and I figured it's time to re-review a movie that has now become one of my favorites of all time, Inception. Since its inception, it has received much critical praise and was even nominated for a couple of Oscars. More like 8 Oscars to be exact. And even won 4 in the process. Since the movie came out back in 2010, July 16th to be exact, I reviewed the movie first when it was a mere 4 days old. But now that it's 5 years old, I figured I'd give a much more deeper analysis of the film, and even cover more of the story, which I should have done before. It still remains one of Christopher Nolan's greater works, among Memento, The Dark Knight, and even his most recent film Interstellar. However, this film still stands out as my personal favorite Nolan film. Allow me to elaborate on this. First off, one must consider the time this movie came out. It was 2010. The same year that many films such as Kick-Ass, Toy Story 3, Alice in Wonderland, Shrek 4, Iron Man 2, How to Train Your Dragon, and the same year Avatar became the highest-grossing film unadjusted for inflation. Additionally, films such as The Social Network, 127 Hours, again Toy Story 3, Black Swan, The Fighter, True Grit, and yes, even Inception were all competing for the Best Picture Oscar at the Academy Awards. Yes, Inception was nominated for the Best Picture Oscar. It was one of the few science fiction films over the past few years to be nominated. Of course, it lost to the winner, The King's Speech, which, by the way, did deserve the Oscar in hindsight. As you can probably tell, Inception was massively successful and left a huge impression on audiences around the world. The following year, Inception was nominated for a total of 8 Oscars. Already mentioned Best Picture, but also Best Art Direction, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Original Score, and won 4 of them, which were Best Sound Mixing and Editing. Wally Pfister took home his first Best Cinematography Oscar, and it even won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects, beating out Iron Man 2, Alice in Wonderland, and even Harry Potter in the same year. However, it also grossed $825 million in the box office against a $160 million budget. That's pretty impressive for what was donned a original film. Yeah, let's discuss that a bit more. When it first came out, Inception was hailed as the best original film Hollywood had released in a long time back in summer 2010. This was due to the huge amount of sequels being released in a span of about 3 years, with 2011 still having the most amount of sequels in a given year. It should be rephrased as the first original release for Nolan since Insomnia, considering this was made between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. Nolan claimed that he had written the original story in an essay for college, and continued adding to the story and nurtured it for years before finally presenting it to Warner Brothers. Whether this is actual fact or not, it is still an inspiring story for any young filmmakers in college that want to have a masterpiece crafted years down the road. Inception itself was not completely original in its theme of dream versus reality. Matrix was the first major film to discuss this similar concept between what is real and what is not real. Inception, however, makes its own rules that the characters explain to each other throughout the film, such as...
Now, in a dream, our mind continuously does this. We create and perceive our world simultaneously, and our mind does this so well that we don't even know what's happening.
5 minutes in the real world gives you an hour in the dream.
Never recreate places from your memory. Always imagine new places.
Because there was still some time on the clock. You can't wake up from within the dream unless you die.
All of these make sense the more and more you listen and analyze what they are saying. Speaking of that, let's actually recap the plot itself. Leonardo DiCaprio plays an extractor named Dom Cobb, who is seeking a way to get home to his children by participating in pulling off the most dangerous and hardest task for a mind thief: Inception, the process to plant a simple idea into another person's mind. After a somewhat failed audition for a powerful man named Saito, played by Ken Watanabe, Dom and his partner Arthur, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, must assemble an elite team to pull off the mind heist. Dom first hires an architecture prodigy named Ariadne, played by Ellen Page, to design the areas and levels of the different dreams for the crew to navigate within. Dom then goes to Eames, a con man and forger, played by Tom Hardy. After acquiring Eames, Dom realizes that 3 dream levels will be required to pull off Inception, and pays a visit to a chemist named Yusuf, played by Dilip Rao, who created customized yet strong sedatives to manipulate dream length. After the team is assembled and they go over their strategies and plans, they box the eventual victim, Maurice Fisher Jr., played by Cillian Murphy, in a 747 first-class cabin, and spend an hour and 20 minutes in real time going deeper and deeper into his subconscious. You like how long that sounded? That was just a synopsis. There are way more additional characters and subplots within the movie's 2.5-hour time limit. I didn't even scratch the surface on what is going on inside Dom Cobb's head this whole time. That is a much deeper story to discuss. Yeah, I should probably discuss that now. Throughout this whole ordeal, Dom is dealing with the emotional guilt he still possesses over the fact that his wife, Mal, died because, well, spoiler alert, her consistent belief that this world was not real. Dom discusses with Ariadne in flashback about how he and Mal were experimenting with dream levels and got trapped in limbo, and spent 5 decades building a perfect world for themselves. While Mal never wanted to leave herself, Dom could not live with the idea of living in an unreal world. So he pulled off Inception on her in the simplest way, by literally breaking into her subconscious and planting a simple idea that this world was not real. Simply put, he spun a top, and because the world was a dream, the top kept spinning. When they woke up, Mal still believed in that radical notion, and thought the real world was still a dream. Mal then frames Dom for domestic violence and threatens him if he does not jump with her. She commits suicide regardless, and Dom flees America, and all that leads to his psychological troubles throughout the film. Man, even that was a huge mouthful. Still, there remains the philosophy of his true mindset. He feels guilty about doing Inception to her because it is what caused her downfall, and his subconscious guilt projects a detested Mal every time he goes to sleep. The psyche within Dom remains one of the more brilliant parts of the film, and truly establishes the troubled mind of our protagonist and adds depth to the story, and the stakes raised substantially because of his projection of Mal interfering with his job. Despite this excellent character background and motivation, Leo still did not even receive an Oscar nomination for his performance. In conclusion, Inception remains my favorite Christopher Nolan film and one of my favorite films of all time, period. It felt immersive, complex, and mind-boggling throughout the film, and one of the things that made the film so memorable, Hans Zimmer's score. While I can't display the music itself because of copyright problems, you can easily download it anywhere and listen to one of the best ending songs of all time. No, seriously, that's what it's called. Honestly, I feel the ending was justified. And even though, spoiler alert, Christopher Nolan has stated, it is up to the viewer. Though, what do you honestly think about the ending? 5 years after it's come out, is it real or is it fiction? It's up to you. Thank you for watching my updated review of Inception, and stay tuned in the next couple of weeks as I discuss more recent films and my first impressions of them. Additionally, Gaming Greg is also going to be making a comeback, and he's going to be covering more than just Shrek games. Even I admit, 2 years after that, it was not the best subject to do a pilot episode on. Regardless, nice seeing you all again, and have a good day, everyone. I'm Movie Man, checking out.